see, it's a gorgeous day in the neighborhood. -2, which is balmy. Lots of sun, sky, our solar panels are sucking up lots of energy. Batteries are fully charged already. It's beautiful. So here I am, shameless shill that I am. The 2 books that I wrote of my memoirs and adventures and exploits and humorous things and stupid things, which there's plenty of stupid things too. One is from Disaster and one is from Disaster 2. Both books are available on Amazon. And if you do buy them, and I know folks have been buying them, please leave a review if you bought it on Amazon. Please leave a review. And for those who purchased this book through bookstores and through Harbor Publishing, much appreciated. You can also buy that one still through Harbor Publishing, my publisher, or through most major bookstores. Anyway, there they are. I hope you bought them. I hope you will buy them. So, as I mentioned before, I'm going to share stories from both of the books. Kind of jump back and forth from one to the other. Today's story is going to be from this book, the first book, called Devil's Cradle. And it was a very exciting, tense time for me and my cousin Kim. Anyway, I hope that you'll enjoy the story. And if you haven't bought these books, please do me a favor, a big favor, or us a big favor, buy them. I hope you'll enjoy them, and I think most people who have bought them have said they really enjoyed the stories. Thanks again from our wilderness paradise off-grid out here in the wild of north central British Columbia. Have a great day. Cheers. Books. Devil's Cradle. For months, Kim and I had been planning to go to the Newitty River at the north end of Vancouver Island. Kim was my cousin and a very good friend, almost more like a brother. We shared many outdoor adventures over the years, and this one was by far the most memorable. We hoped to experience what could be an incredible 4 days of steelhead fishing, unsurpassed even by what you'd find on some of the most famous steelhead rivers in the world, such as the mighty Dean River, situated at the head of the channel it is named for on the mainland of BC, or the remarkable Gold River, closer to home on Vancouver Island. But for this trip, the Newitty was our destination. The Newitty River is in a remote island location with no roads or access trails. We were confident that we would be the first people in recent history to actually fish some of the spectacular pools that we knew the river contained. It was May 1974. We had no Google Earth or GPS to guide our way or provide clear imagery, but we didn't know what to expect. It would truly be an adventure and discovery. I couldn't wait. At 5 a.m. Saturday, we finished packing all the necessary gear, checked it twice, even 3 times, before kissing our families goodbye and pulling out of my driveway. We traveled north toward Port Hardy via the Gold River Highway, turning onto a gravel road just northeast of Gold River. At the time, this was the way to Port Hardy, near the northern part of Vancouver Island. The island highway would not be constructed along the North Island route for at least a decade. We choked on the dust of many kilometers of washboard gravel road until we reached Port Hardy. Considering the fact that we were only into late May, the heat was quite stifling. However, it did not lessen our growing anticipation and excitement. Soon, Kim and I would be hiking into the wild and untouched Newitty area. We had our last restaurant meal in Port Hardy. They made the final 65-kilometer drive to the end of a logging road. This would be our starting point. At 9 a.m., with packs loaded, and after another final check to make absolutely sure we had everything, we were good to go. The going was slow as we descended a steep hill not far from where we had parked at the end of the road. The plan was simple. Follow the Newitty River, fishing our way down until we reached its final destination, the ocean. The plan only partially worked. However, as we encountered windfalls and the biggest obstacles of all, the much-loathed Devil's Bush. It was a thick, thorny hell that taxed one's resolve and patience to the extreme. The closer we tried to stay to the river, the worse the Devil's Bush was. Hacking our way through meter by meter, with me wielding my machete like a seasoned jungle fighter, we soon put some distance behind us. With 9+ kilometers to go, it would most likely take the rest of the day to reach the mouth of the Newitty. Along the way, we were able to find a couple of good pools where we could take a much-needed break from our bushwhacking trials. Taking out the rods, we tried some fishing. After a couple of attempts, we managed only one good hit, so we soldiered on. Late into the afternoon, we were still hacking our way through the maze of downed trees and the ever-expanding jungle of Devil's Bush, when suddenly we broke through into a cleared opening, a perfect circle about 9 meters in diameter. There was not a twig, leaf, or blade of grass, only soft, cool dirt beneath our feet, as if it had been groomed by some meticulous groundskeeper. Placed exactly in the middle of this strange and mysterious clearing was a baby's cradle, made from small, interlocking branches. The cradle was the size and shape of an apple box. As Kim and I gazed upon this fascinating object, we stayed silent, coming to our own conclusions about its existence and purpose. As we silently pondered its meaning, we could not help feeling uneasy, as though there was something present that we could not see with the naked eye, but could feel within our very being. Studying the circle further, we noticed there were no footprints or signs of any life, not even birds or squirrels, which were usually plentiful. Something should have been etched across that earthen canvas. No trails were found leading in, yet something or someone had maintained this place, placed a baby's cradle in it, and even guarded it from any intrusion, at least until we stumbled onto it. Without saying a word, we left the ominous clearing and continued on. After 2 more hard-fought hours, we came to a wide spot in the river and cooled our feet. In fact, we could hear the surf as it crashed on the beach, likely no more than a few kilometers away. We talked about the possibility of just carrying on to the beach, but sheer exhaustion and hunger persuaded us otherwise. After a nutritious meal of macaroni and cheese, we would need a good night's sleep, so camping for the night was in order. Following our feast, and after setting up our tent, I decided to read until we crashed for the evening, and went inside the tent. Lying on my sleeping bag, half asleep, I was jolted back to full consciousness when Kim rushed in. With a fearful look in his eyes and terror in his voice, he said, "We need to leave right now." "What are you talking about?" I complained. "We just got here and I'm beat." "We need to leave and leave now," he exclaimed again, with even more conviction in his voice. Reluctantly, I acquiesced to his request, or rather his demand. Kim wasn't one to elaborate much on anything, so I didn't bother pressing him for the reason for his sudden order. Maybe deep down I actually felt the same way he did. Kim was hurriedly stuffing his belongings back into his pack, so I worked at breaking camp. Without any further discussion, we shouldered our packs and began the arduous trek back up the river. With only about an hour and a half of daylight left, time was of the essence. We followed our freshly broken trail until it became too difficult to see. The rapidly increasing darkness began to enshroud us. The river ran slowly and quietly. Whenever we tried to move away from it to avoid the tangles of windfalls and thick bush, we became disoriented in the dark and would lose our way. Fearing we would end up hopelessly lost, we realized the only alternative was to travel in the river, or at least in the river as much as it would allow. As we traveled into the night, a not quite full moon overhead silhouetted the trees on either side of the river. I began to feel very uneasy, and I sensed this in Kim too. It wasn't the traveling through the bush in the dark, for we had done so many times, even in country teeming with bear and cougar. No, this was a sense of anxiety we had never felt before. We stumbled along in the dark, waist deep in water, sometimes only a meter from the undercut banks. We sensed we were being watched from the dark that surrounded us. Judging by the way the river was making a turn to the west, we knew that we were close to the place of the cradle. Almost as soon as I realized that, I began to hear things. First just a twig snap, then the shuffle of a foot. Then I thought I could make out movement in the brush paralleling the river. The feeling of being observed became even stronger. At times I would stop breathing in order to hear any sound or warning that my breathing would obscure. Suddenly, Kim collapsed in front of me.